3rd down and 7. Blitz coming. Speed in trouble. The ball's loose. Scooped up by Colorado, and a big man running all the way in for the touchdown. It's Derek McCartney.
Well, this time there was no miracle in Michigan. However, the Buffaloes started out miraculously. They're up 21-7, got outscored 38-7 the rest of the way, and up only 45-28 here at the Big House. Coach Gary Barnett, Mark Johnson. Coach, great start. Special teams gaffes, I guess, led to a big part of what we went down to this field here today. Your thoughts on this ballgame?
Well, I agree with you totally. I mean, this team controlled the first half on both sides of the ball. I thought they were outstanding defensively, and they let Michigan back in, gave them some confidence, gave them a way to get back in this game by getting 2 punts blocked. One we kicked our own player, and the other one was just flat out blocked. And
a scoop and score on that one.
Scoop and score on that one. So, I mean, we just committed so many costly errors, Mark, that it really made it hard for us to win. You throw in the injuries that we had. It made it hard in the end to get back up off the mat, but we had our chances. We really did. And between the 2 block punts, the punt return for a touchdown, and the missed field goal that was in there, it was just the difference with special teams in this game.
Well, certainly they made some mistakes that ended up costing them. The Buffaloes, though, we wondered about this team coming in physically. Could they play up front with a team the caliber of Michigan? What's the answer?
Well, I think the answer is yes. I think you throw out the special teams gaffes, and this team really, for more than half of this football game, outplayed Michigan. If it had to go another 15 minutes without special teams being played, I don't know if we would have done that. But for the 60 minutes, 55 minutes that we played well enough, the difference was special teams.
The injuries did rack up in this one. Sefo Lufau, after a touchdown to Shea Fields in the 3rd quarter, early on in that 2nd half, ends up spraining an ankle. He goes out. Diego Gonzalez on the ensuing kickoff tore his Achilles. He goes out. Derek McCartney out with a knee being tweaked. We know that this team, as Mike's beginning to rotate or kind of turn this team and improve this program, there's not a lot of depth right now. So this can really be costly if these are serious injuries.
Well, no question. You're going to replace the kicker no matter what. You just hope that the other guys are still able to play. But that means that whether we have the depth equal to the starters or not, it doesn't make any difference. We got to get those guys ready, and they got to play at a high level. And everybody's got to get together on this thing. They got to pull together. And, I like what Philip Lindsay said about this being a close team and that they will bounce back. And I really do think they will. Montez may have this game to himself next week, and he may prepare himself better to play in that game than maybe he did this game.
The one thing we did find out today, Michigan found, shall we call it Achilles heel in terms of this ballgame? They found that they could do some damage on the edges defensively. Is that a fixable issue defensively for Colorado?
I'm not sure, Mark. We may not see a team that will be able to expose us on the edge quite as much as Michigan did because they were a power running team, an off-tackle sweep team. Stanford would be the team that will look at this film and probably lick their chops. So until we get to Stanford, I don't think we're going to face the same kind of issues. But it's still, everybody's going to look at it and go, okay, this is how you beat Colorado because you can't run between the tackles. You're going to have to get off tackle with them. And so it's going to give everybody an avenue to game plan.
I know there's disappointment right now. You lose 45-28, you're going to be disappointed. But you're the head coach of this team. How do you kind of nurse them, if you will, forward? Having to go to Oregon next week.
Well, I'm not sure how Mike approached it. I know how I would have approached this whole game in that it was a good test. It was a good chance to see what we got. I come out and say, okay, we're pretty good here, and here. We need work here and here. Let's go, boys. And that's the way I would treat this game. This was not a do-or-die game, and so we didn't expect this team to be 12-0 at the end of this season. And we went into a really hard, tough environment and did pretty doggone well. So I like where we are.
The one thing we did learn about this team, this Michigan trio of receivers, outstanding, big NFL-type bodies. That CU secondary played very well against them.
Listen, that secondary played outstanding. I mean, I don't know that it could have played better than it did. That was as good a play as I've seen here for a while at the secondary. So talking to 2 pro scouts at halftime, and they both just said, you know what, those corners can play. So we showed well there.
Well, the Buffaloes fall in this one. Now they got to get ready for Oregon next week. Oregon got beat by Nebraska on this college football Saturday. Certainly a big challenge there, but a very different kind of team they face next week. Not nearly as physical as this.
Not nearly as physical, but we got to go in with the quarterbacks ready to play. Whoever it is, they got to be ready to play, and they got to play the whole game if they can. And we got to keep our tempo up. When we let the tempo fall off is when we stopped doing well on offense.
So the Buffaloes are 2-1 this season. They fall for the first time in 2016 at Oregon next week. Buffs will take on the Ducks. That's a 3:30 Mountain Time kickoff. We'll have the coverage. Gary and I and Stan Brock, the former Buffs great, is going to join us as well in the pregame. Starting at 1:30 Mountain Time from Eugene, Oregon. For Gary Barnett, I'm Mark Johnson. Stay with us here to Stampede. We're going to talk with the guy that heaved the miracle, Cordell Stewart. That's coming up next.